Good morning. Thank you for joining me for devotions today. Continuing to read stories about Jesus after the resurrection, today we'll be reading a story from Luke chapter 24, beginning in verse 13. This is a longer reading, but a really important and inspiring one. In verse 13 it says, "Now on that day, 2 of the disciples were going to a village called Emmaus, about 7 miles from Jerusalem, and talking with each other about all these things that had happened. While they were talking and discussing, Jesus himself came near and went with them, but their eyes were kept from recognizing him. And he said to them, 'What are you discussing with each other while you walk along?' They stood still, looking sad. Then one of them, whose name was Cleopas, answered him, 'Are you the only stranger in Jerusalem who does not know the things that have taken place there in these days?' He asked them, 'What things?' And they replied, 'The things about Jesus of Nazareth, who was a prophet, mighty in deed and word before God and all the people, and how our chief priests and leaders handed him over to be condemned to death and crucified him. But we had hoped that he was the one to redeem Israel. Yes, and besides all this, it is now the 3rd day since these things took place. Moreover, some women of our group astounded us. They were at the tomb early this morning, and when they did not find his body there, they came back and told us that they had indeed seen a vision of angels who said that he was alive. Some of those who were with us went to the tomb and found it just as the women had said, but they did not see him.' Then Jesus said to them, 'Oh, how foolish you are, and how slow of heart to believe all that the prophets have declared. Was it not necessary that the Messiah should suffer these things and then enter into his glory?' Then, beginning with Moses and all the prophets, he interpreted to them the things about himself in all the scriptures. As they came near the village to which they were going, he walked ahead as if he were going on. But they urged him strongly, saying, 'Stay with us, because it is almost evening, and the day is now nearly over.' So he went in to stay with them. When he was at the table with them, he took bread, blessed and broke it, and gave it to them. Then their eyes were opened, and they recognized him, and he vanished from their sight. They said to each other, 'Were not our hearts burning within us while he was talking on the road, while he was opening the scriptures to us?'" This journey to Emmaus is a model for us as we celebrate communion. That in the breaking of bread with Jesus, that's when the disciples' eyes were opened. And in the breaking of bread, our eyes can be opened as well to recognize Jesus in our midst. Real as the bread in front of us. That's how real Jesus was to these disciples. Not a hallucination, not a vision, but a real person. Not a ghost, but a resurrected human being. Fully God and fully human, just as he was before the crucifixion. It's miraculous and it's strange, but it's also beautiful that in an ordinary act, like sitting down and eating together, something miraculous, something divine can happen. And the ordinary table is turned into a sacred table. Jesus can transform our tables from ordinary into holy and give us the opportunity to encounter God as we sit and do something as simple as eat with one another. It's incredible that the disciples were ready to encounter Jesus, that their hearts were burning within them. It's fascinating to me to think about how just a few days earlier, Jesus called the disciples to go with him to the Mount of Olives and to pray with him, and they couldn't keep their eyes open, but he asked them to stay with me, stay with me, stay with me. And they fled. And here the disciples see Jesus about to walk on, not knowing that it's Jesus, just thinking it's a stranger. And they say, "Don't walk on, stay with us, stay with us." And in that moment they encounter Christ. It's another lesson that our welcome to our neighbors, whether they're familiar to us or strangers, whether they're family or literal neighbors, our welcome to others is a way for us to welcome Christ into our lives as well. I hope that you find ways to encounter Christ today. Would you join me in prayer? God, reveal to us all that makes itself an enemy to the life you want for us. Help us to hunger so deeply for the freedom of all your people that we risk walking among enemies who pervert justice. Reveal to us when we ourselves act as enemies to your kingdom of justice and peace. Forgive us, God. Set us on paths of wholeness. Make yourselves known in our midst. Amen. Have a blessed day.